in there, everybody on Instagram. All right, folks, I'm back. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. The live feed just totally cut out off my phone. Still on Instagram, so thanks everybody for hanging in on Instagram. Appreciate it. So I am back with more. Let's. I guess we can dedicate this whole video here on Facebook, on Facebook, to cooking vegetables. So hopefully people are joining me back over on there. Let's see. I'm just gonna go on my computer. I don't think I'm on. I'm back on. It just like disappeared on me, so I'm back on. I'm on Instagram still. We got a couple people joining in on Facebook again. It just froze up. Is that what happened? On my end, my screen just went blank and that was it. My phone. It said interrupted. Interrupted. Okay. So, all right, a couple people joining in. Okay, we're going to talk about vegetable cookery. We're going to wait for a couple more people to come on board here. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Jamie said the screen froze on the other side. All right, cool. People are coming on. We have our cocktail tasting in the garden tonight with black infusions, $25. We have a couple seats left for that. It comes with a dish. Great bargain. So, all right, cool. Got more and more people. Kathleen said you're good on Facebook. Awesome. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, Facebook just totally cut out. So let's talk. Wow, we got a bunch of people coming back on. Thank you, everybody for coming back on. Just drop a comment, #live or #replay if you're going to be watching this on the replay, or drop a comment where you're tuning in from. So hello, everybody. All right, we're getting numbers back up here. Sorry about that. My screen just went blank on my phone. Instagram feed is still going live. All right, so vegetable cookery. I'll start over on the vegetable cookery since I just started that. Some basic chef tips on how to cook vegetables. A lot of people don't put thought into cooking a vegetable, and they just turn the water on and throw the vegetable in, and that and boil away, and that's it. So a lot of people ask me all the time for tips on vegetable cookery. When I worked at the Greenbrier in West Virginia in the mid-90s, I did the vegetable cooking for one season in the tavern room. And there's a very specific science, very specific science to cooking each vegetable, right? I'm not gonna get that intense today. I mean, literally different levels of water. I mean, it was really intense. Each vegetable was handled with that science in mind. And most restaurants don't do that to the extent of that. So, all right, so two different types of vegetables. You have vegetables that are under the ground and vegetables that are above the ground. Above the ground, under the ground. Potato, broccoli. Carrots, broccoli. Above the ground, under the ground. Vegetables that are under the ground will typically always start off in cold water. You would not take a potato and drop a potato into hot boiling water. If you did that that's what you do with pasta, but not a potato. Imagine taking pasta, cold pot of water, throwing your pasta in the cold water, then turning it on and waiting, 25 minutes for this thing to come to a boil, and your pasta would be a disaster. It would be a mess. If you took a potato and dropped it into hot boiling water while it was in this form, the outside would turn very starchy and start falling apart. The inside wouldn't be done. By the time the inside would be done, this thing would just be disintegrated. Carrots, cold water. Potatoes, cold water. Root vegetables, cold water. You turn it up. You season it with salt or whatever you're seasoning it with. Salt is always part of the equation, right? We use Redmond real salt. We actually sell these in the grocery store here on our market. We sell a lot of Redmond real salt. So salt should be going in every vegetable. Now, how much salt do you put in vegetables is a question that I get as well, all right? So this is a very good question. So think of it. If you're cooking carrots and you start them off, you peel these, you slice them. If you start carrots off in cold water and you turn it up and you cook it, your carrots are gonna be cooking for 20 minutes. If you take boiling hot water and you drop asparagus into boiling hot water, your asparagus is gonna be there for 10 to 15 seconds, right? So 20 minutes versus, let's say, 20 seconds to make it easy. 20 seconds versus 20 minutes. Asparagus, carrots. Something that goes in the water for 20 seconds is not going to have as much time to absorb. The salt is something that goes in for 20 minutes. Very little salt. The asparagus, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the amount of salt in that water, because the asparagus go in and out, and to actually grab the salt flavors, you have to put that much more salt into the water because of less cooking time. All right, so that goes with any vegetable. The less you cook it, the less you cook it, the more salt you add. The longer it cooks, the less salt, because you don't, it's basic absorption ratios for that time frame. So that's very important about the salt. Salt is also good because it fixes color. It fixes the chlorophyll color. Boiling hot water fixes the chlorophyll. It helps it bring out. So if you were to take broccoli and put it into cold water and turn it on and wait for 20 minutes for this thing pot to boil, and your broccoli's in there, it would be a brown, mushy mess. The chlorophyll will have died. Some chefs use baking soda. I've never used baking soda. I worked at the Greenbrier. When I worked at the Greenbrier, I would literally overtake like 10 burners when it was my turn to go blanch the vegetables ahead of time. You just blanch the vegetables ahead of time, cook them, shock them in ice water, and then you have them ready to go. Then you just reheat them very quickly. Everything was based upon, if you had to stir a vegetable, like green beans, you cannot throw green beans into a pot of water and not stir them. They have to be stirred. You have to have 4 times the amount of water versus the amount of green beans. So you let the gases go, and stirring it lets the gases go. If you trap the gases and put a lid on green beans, they will turn brown on you. That's part of the things that will turn brown. So when I was in college, when I went to culinary school, the basic rule for vegetables back then, or the teacher, the professor, it was like least amount of water, least amount of time. And that's not the case at all. Sometimes you want a lot of water to release the bitterness of certain vegetables, like zucchini. If you're gonna boil zucchini really quickly, which doesn't take long to cook, slice up zucchini, you want lots of water. You wanna release stuff. You wanna release any of the bitterness in it. So zucchini will take a lot of water. So stirring, most vegetables don't get a lid. Sometimes a vegetable will get a lid, but most times a vegetable will not get a lid. So you wouldn't put a lid on broccoli, a lid on green beans. Certain vegetables you want to stir a lot. Certain vegetables you don't want to stir a lot. But the basics are root vegetables, anything under the ground, cold water. Anything above the ground, hot water. The more time it cooks, the less salt. The quicker the time it cooks, the more salt it gets to absorb those flavors in. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to the rules, like artichokes. Artichokes are above the ground. They go into cold water. They get an acid. Classically, you'd cook artichokes with a little bit of flour in the water. Actually, flour in the water, because if you peeled your artichokes and popped them in, the flour would create this surface, the viscosity. It would create this viscosity in the cooking water, and that would create like a little bit of haze or glaze over the the artichokes. So when they float, they don't oxidize. They're always covered. And that's in classical books like Escoffier and things like that. You'll find that. Butternut squash. This is above the ground, but you would not throw this into boiling water. In fact, I wouldn't even put this in the water. I would actually roast this. Cut it open, peel it, roast it, cut it open, seed it, roast it half, dice it up, roast diced pieces. If I were to put this in water, I would dry it out afterwards. So I would probably dice it up, throw it into some water with some salt, strain it, and then just pop it in the oven and dry it out. Depending on what I'm doing with it. If I'm making like nice roasted, like deep rich roasted butternut squash, all in the oven one shot. If I'm making a puree and I'm gonna make like butternut squash risotto later and I want puree, then I would pop this into some water and I would dice it up, put it into water, and I would put this right into boiling water. This is fine, especially if we have smaller pieces, right in the boiling water, some salt, cook it, and then cool it, and then puree it. Well, it has a high moisture content, so because you need more moisture to blend something to blend in a blender and mix it up in a blender, and then you can mix that into your risotto or however later. If you're making soup out of this, you would take this up, peel it, seed it, dice it, throw it into cold water, throw whatever else you're in, and just cook away, and then puree it afterwards in the blender. Spaghetti squash is an interesting vegetable. Spaghetti squash is one of my favorite vegetables. This is on our menu right now. How we cook spaghetti squash is we cut the spaghetti squash in half, scoop the seeds out, take both halves, put them cut side down on a sheet tray, a pan in the oven with about that much water, and we bake it off. Water like that will create some steam, especially on the inside of it will create some steam, and these things cook off beautifully. Once they get soft, you touch them in the oven, they get soft, you take them out and you take a fork and you just pull out everything, and the outside shell is much harder. You can see it's just that the fiber content is impossible to eat that, and that stays together and that just peels out. If you never cooked spaghetti squash, cook it. Put it in your refrigerator. After you cook it, it'll last 3, 4, 5, 6 days easily. If you're gonna reheat it, a little bit of water in the pan, unless you're using a microwave, which we don't recommend. A little water in the pan. Most chefs will take a little knob of butter, a little water and butter, and just reheat it in a pan just like that. You could take a little bit of olive oil. It does lend itself much better flavor-wise if you're going to put butter in this versus olive oil. So a little bit of water, and that's it. You don't have to put any oil or any butter in it at all. It's perfectly fine. A little bit of oil in the pan, and just cook it until it evaporates. So that's the story with that. So, of course, there's all types of vegetables. There's always specific rules for each vegetable if you want to get really, really, really intense and scientific on each vegetables based upon the color, the vegetable, all this and that. It gets really, really in depth. That's it for vegetable cookery, folks. Enjoy the local harvest right now. We have lots and lots of stuff here in the Hudson Valley that is available. We've had it for several months now, but now it's the fall vegetables with the lots of apples, all the squashes, all the gourds. I usually get a blue Hubbard squash every year, and it's that big blue, like dimply gourd that we usually put one on our. I usually get, in fact, I'll look today from the farm up. I usually get 1 or 2 of those a year. We put it out for display for a little while, and then we cook it up and put it into an Indian dish. Indian dishes lend themselves very well to things like butternut squash, blue Hubbard squash, things like that. Very, very well. One of the squashes that's also our favorite is Eggcorn squash. Eggcorn squash, which is out right now as well. I saw that on the Farm Hub list to order. Eggcorn squash, another one. Most people glaze Eggcorn squash with some kind of maple syrup, and they roast it off and this and that. That's one way to do it. All right, folks, that is it for now. I got to get back. I got to send an email out. Buy one, get one wings tonight. Buy one, get one wings. It's an amazing deal. We've upped the order size of our wings. They're still smoked. We've upped the order size, the portion size, and we now buy a local certified organic from a local certified organic farm wings, and so we kept the price the same. So win-win for everybody. Win-win for the farm. Win-win for us. Win-win for you. So that's exciting. And then on Monday nights to celebrate our wings, buy one get one. It's an amazing deal. It's the best deal on wings out there. So let's see. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Just drop a comment or so if you're tuning in live. If it's on the replay, I see Steve just joined. Hi, Steve. Susan, thanks for the garlic tip last spring. Just dug some up yesterday and planting some. Awesome. And again, I was on Instagram Live today and Facebook Live, so you can catch us on both places. And it'll get uploaded to YouTube here later this afternoon by one of my assistants. So I see Scott Sherman's on, Esteban's on, Chris, a bunch of people on. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. We are closed on Tuesday, Wednesdays now. Jamie and I take Tuesday, Wednesdays off. Not really off, but we're not opening the doors. Tuesdays, we have a couple of coaching calls that we do. I've always had a business coach or some kind of coach, and we now have 2 coaches, one for the travel business and another business coach as well. If anybody follows Brad Lee, I'm in the Brad Lee program. Brad Lee's a really cool guy, got a great podcast out there, and he's the one who does Lightspeed VT, virtual training platform. So I jumped into his mastermind. And so that calls every Tuesday night, and then we do our travel mastermind a couple hours earlier. So Tuesdays is like educational Tuesdays here. And then Wednesdays, we've been getting out to some wineries and some farms and getting around the Hudson Valley. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing day. And email me or leave comments if you have any questions on a specific vegetable. Like I said, every vegetable can get really scientific onto how much water, do you stir it, do you put a lid on it, even down to mushrooms and stuff. I see we've had a lot of cooks come through the restaurant here in the last 18 years, right? Cooks that come out of culinary school, cooks that have been cooking for many, many years. Even when I was an executive chef at the country clubs, at the 2 or 3 country clubs I was executive chef at, a lot of cooks that came through, and there's not many qualified cooks that know how to cook vegetables. It's very, very overlooked, underlooked, it's very underappreciated vegetable cookery, and a lot of chefs that come in, that have experience, a lot of these cooks that have lots of experience just don't know the basics on vegetable cookery, and there really is a science to every single vegetable. And that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and have an amazing, amazing day. We'll talk to you later.